He's got fantastic posture. I think he can definitely pull an upset on this one.
Yeah, it's scary how straight his back is moving into it. But the question now is, how straight is his journey into the playoffs? Because in the bottom right, for Berlin International Gaming, it's big, it's showtime.
And his opponent, unanimously voted by his peers as the fastest player in StarCraft II, and he can put it, he shows that consistently. It is Reynor for Basilisk.
And interesting here, of course, as we move into game one, is that this is a 15-15. This is Reynor saying, you know what? Taking my third base as my natural on Oceanborn, it kind of sucks. Like, it's not fun. It doesn't feel very good. I really am vulnerable to a depth shade in between that third base position and my main. I'm willing to accept a minor economic inefficiency by going that double gas cancel to make sure that I have everything done in time, to make sure that I don't have to deal with that. Again, I'm confident enough in my mid game, I'm confident enough in my late game that putting myself, I'm not going to say behind, but slowing myself down slightly in the early game is not going to be that big of a deal. But Steadfast, as we get into this series, I feel like, you know, you have a rough idea about what Zerg's going to do. They have playing a lot of Lingbane Roach Ravager into a late game, whatever it is. My eyes on ShoWTimE. Like, what does he have prepped for this series? Because I think whenever you look at a series and say, hey, you know what, one player is favored against the other, and Reynor absolutely is, it kind of falls to the player that's the underdog to make something happen, to make some changes and maybe play a little differently.
Yeah, and ShoWTimE is certainly, even though he has the nickname of Demour the Wall for his defensive style, he is certainly capable of getting very aggressive, trying to put the screws to his opponent and really get in their face. Now, I expect, at least for the openings, we're going to be seeing Stargate opener probably every game out of ShoWTimE. I'd be extremely surprised. I would welcome it if he had something special, but he does love that Oracle play, and he's very effective and potent with them. But I think what we'll probably see from ShoWTimE is stuff like opening up with 4 Adepts before, Warp Gate completes, trying to put on some pressure there, getting early damage with Adepts, or maybe some 3-base Charge Lot Archon plays, and really heavily commit to that in an effort to, just smash through. But will Reynor end up being vulnerable to it? That is a much bigger question.
And this does feel like a map where you want to see Protoss players get aggressive, right? Because Oceanborn, it's kind of hard to go and break the third base. The fourth base is very safe. So it's either you break them early with maybe a charge lot timing. We've been seeing actually a decent amount of +1 charge lots. So the Lings are going to try to get on top of this depth. ShoWTimE kites away. They're all orange. None of them are dying. Finally, a Ling falls. But that is not what you're looking for. ShoWTimE wanted to pair the Adepts together, and do not complete the shade, ShoWTimE. Do not. There we go.
No, I don't think he's going to do that. That was, as far as I can tell, that was a mistake shading the first one, and I don't think he intended to. But there's no way he's going to let that second one shade in. But that's rather unfortunate. Great micro from Reynor, really jumping that Adept as quickly as he could. And you mentioned, of course, that the Lings were all orange. That's because Reynor just jumped it so fast that ShoWTimE didn't really have an opportunity to get comfortably set up. And now with all these Lings regenerating, that's a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good. And certainly
ShoWTimE didn't put it on hold position. That means it's going to walk out into an opportunity to be surrounded. Will force the Oracle back home. At least it's going to be a few pickoffs for ShoWTimE, but forcing that Oracle to use its early energy, not fun for the Protoss in the slightest.
No, not really. Certainly, yeah, as you said, using the Oracle energy is a little bit annoying, but Steadfast. Okay, as we take a look at this, this is 4 gas, main and natural for ShoWTimE. He's got a Twilight on the way. He's got a Forge on the way. Now, if I was to look at this and I'm a Zerg, or if I'm a Zerg trying to scout this, I'm going to say, okay, +1 blink. All right, that is what we're going to see. But there have been some instances recently. Here was a great example in Masters Coliseum who's been pantomiming the squad gas idea of, yeah, I'm going to get 4 gas and I might overmine it just a little bit, but this is a +1 charge lot timing behind this. I'm going to maybe overbuild some Oracles with that extra gas and hit a bit of a timing that is a little bit more different. In fact, that is how Hero killed Reynor in one of those games. So for now, the 4 Adepts that you talked about are going to try to get in. Oracle on top of this as well, looking for the damage, but Steadfast, it doesn't really feel like it's not getting anything. 5 drones for this level of commitment is not enough here. Maybe this Adept, no, it's not going to get any more. This is not enough.
That was so slick out of Reynor. That was so slick saving that drone in the main base, trying to stay on top of that while defending the oracles and everything. Honestly, I actually don't think that was that bad. I think that was pretty good for ShoWTimE. Wasn't amazing, but 5 drones is better than nothing. He did kill a couple of lings, and he kept the oracles alive. That's the most important thing. I still think it's a solid defense from Reynor, and Reynor's more than okay with that. But at least ShoWTimE was able to get a little bit of something.
I mean, sure, but it's not uncommon to go get 5 drones with just your oracles, right? So committing those 4 adepts, committing that build time, committing that gas, committing those minerals to making it, and I guess you got a couple more lings, you know, 10 total lings died is not a lot. It did not bear the fruit that he was looking for. He's going to try to dive in right now, and there we go. This is better, right? 4 workers, no damage or damage on the oracles, but doesn't lose anything. That's doing much better behind this. And this is, by the way, this is not pantomiming blink. This is actually going to be a blink opener. And behind this, Twilight coming out or Temple Archives, excuse me, coming out very, very quickly. So ShoWTimE's going to have Storm. He's going to have Archon Tech. He's going to get ready for that one. But Reynor, not the quickest, but decently timed Infestation Pit telegraphs desire to maybe go to Hive.
Yeah, I wonder if it could be Swarm Hosts. He has gone for that in the past. I think his drone count's a little bit high for it to be Swarm Hosts. I think you're probably right. It could be high, or it probably is Hive. But I wouldn't be super surprised if he does pop out. Okay, no. It starts up another couple drones. Yeah, no, this is just going to be Hive. I do like this setup for ShoWTimE, just in terms of the builds. I think that the fast blink into Storm that Classic debuted at Gamers 8 is a fantastic style. I think it's really powerful. But it is very difficult to execute, and Reynor is really on his horse in terms of his practice. Great target fire right there from ShoWTimE, able to pick up a couple of roaches and a good stasis ward to cover the stalkers. Well, that's some nice little trades right there for ShoWTimE.
That it really is. And remember, when we talk about lings and roaches dealing with this blink pressure, a lot of the time, and one of the reasons we have seen this charge meta, or this charge idea, come back into the meta more and more, a lot of the time we're seeing these +1 lings. They handle stalkers very nicely. Like that's why we see that. But because Reynor is going +1 range, moving up into lurkers pretty quickly, going into something like that, the lings are not going to be nearly as scary against the stalkers. It gives ShoWTimE a little bit more flexibility on the map. But you gotta wonder. So the first robo is done. We're getting observers on the map right now. Second one on the way behind this. Probably going to be for double immortal. That is really good up to a point. Right, this charge lot, Archon, Immortal, Blink Stalker, Storm type of idea is very strong against what Reynor has now. And it's strong against even a small number of lurkers. But if Reynor's able to get to 10, 15 lurkers or something, that's where it becomes a little bit more problematic. That being said, Reynor wants to go right now. He's got 4 queens in that Overlord, and the Storms are going to be beautiful on top of this. High Templar, I think one of them went down, but not all that many. ShoWTimE's a little bit out of position, though, so you have to be careful with that one. One Oracle gets shut down here. For the start, even with all these transfuses, those preliminary storms, those entry storms into the fight are doing so much for ShoWTimE.
Yeah, but he's used up pretty much all of those storms. He did have to morph in, an Archon. He didn't actually get the kill on many of those roaches. They just got kind of softened up. Now there is one more storm available. That's a pretty big one, and that will allow ShoWTimE to drive this back, but big corrosive bile, almost killing a couple of stalkers. Good job from ShoWTimE, drives this back and does utilize those High Templar quite effectively. The thing is, he's about to have 2 more storms available and warps in a few more fresh High Templar. I was just going to say, he really needs to warp in some more High Templar, because Storm is his tech for the next little bit. He's only just now gotten up to his first 2 immortals. It's actually a little bit supply blocked, unfortunately. But a couple pylons finishing up, so that's not a big deal. The problem is actually lurkers.
Yeah, you can go some number of lurkers, absolutely. Like this army that ShoWTimE has, if it's maxed out, if it takes a good fight, charge lot Archon against 4, 5, maybe even 6 lurkers. Okay, sure. I'll give you that. You can hit a good surround, you can kind of cleave through things, you can get on top of them. They die certainly before they're on +2, certainly before they have armor, and last a little bit longer. But this army that Reynor is building will rapidly eclipse that. 6 lurkers right now. That stasis trap is actually, it's a blessing and a curse, because on the one hand, it's really nice. All the Lings aren't going to go down, but it's also a bit of a force field, making it hard to dive on top of those lurkers. And by the way, Reynor, that run by on the right side, not really going to find much of anything. But Steadfast, where are the charge lots? They're not really here just yet. Storm's looking to get on top of this. Hydra's on the backside is a little bit weird, but it's an opportunity maybe. Reynor's not going to take advantage of it. So at the start of this, Roach is dropped into the main base, are not really getting all that much. The Roach run by on the right side. ShoWTimE's holding on to that one as well. So all things considered, you absolutely are worried about the lurker tech, that transition that Reynor's getting into. But all things considered, Reynor hit ShoWTimE at 3 or 4 places at the same time, and ShoWTimE, he didn't blink.
No, D-Mauer held. And if you look at the resources lost, he has done a great job here. Oh, these Lings, they will force all of the High Templar to use their Storms and morph into Archons. One of the Archons does in fact go down. That's a very nice pickoff for Reynor. But yeah, I'm liking the way ShoWTimE's played this. He's really dealing with Reynor's multi-pronged aggression extremely well. Now we're going to see a Zealot run by on the top side. ShoWTimE is getting into double upgrades. He's already on 2-1, soon to be 3-1. And these Lings are not even close to being able to fight these Zealots, I don't think. Oh, okay. He's got more units coming in from the back, and that should be enough. So at least the Lings bought time. ShoWTimE's still able to trade out efficiently with those Zealots.
That's still a very cost-effective trade. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting, all right? ShoWTimE, he's got 2 Stargates, right? Yeah, he's got 3 Stargates, excuse me. So he is making that that air transition. But the interesting thing is, I talked to a couple of players leading up to this, and I'm like, okay, talk to me about this Sky Toss transition. Where do you look for it? Where do you go? And generally, the consensus was, well, so long as there aren't broods, you actually kind of want to stay on the ground. Yeah, lurkers are scary, but you can build this massively upgraded Charge Lot Immortal Archon Storm type of composition. You can start to swarm around the map like we're seeing ShoWTimE go right now. So I do think it's a little interesting. Oh man, that's a
lot of lurkers.
That's a lot of lurkers to attack into. Sky Toss is good against a lurker composition, absolutely. But I do think it's just given where it seems like the Protoss consensus is about the matchup right now. I think it's interesting to see him make that transition at this point because, well, I mean, it is a lot of lurkers, but by doing this, you kind of, by building these carriers as you are, you're giving up a lot of map control and a lot of tempo that ShoWTimE's been able to play with up until this point.
You do, but it also will be very good against the lack of armor. We just now see +1 armor starting up for Reynor. A couple of units are going to get pushed back. That's a nice little start here. The high ground is dangerous for ShoWTimE to be hanging around on. And if we look at the creep spread, we talked about ShoWTimE and how good he looks, but Reynor has really been training hard for IEM Katowice. He really wants to win this tournament. He has been practicing those Archon modes to increase his speed, and you can see it's yielding results in the form of that magnificent creep. And that is allowing for a really powerful siege.
Good feedback there on the first Viper. Storm as well is fantastic. So this is what you're looking for if you're ShoWTimE. You poke forward a little bit, you try to get a Viper to expose themselves. ShoWTimE, no! That's not what you want on the right side. Everything's going to go down. He tries to bring his army together, but that is just... it's going to be a lot longer to break this high ground now. If you bring the army together, you can punch up and you can drop Storms and it's fine. That was 3 Immortals, 4 High Templar maybe, something like that. That was a really rough fight going up the ramp unsupported. So now this base, it feels like it's just dead.
I think it is. I understand, though. That's understandable for ShoWTimE. He didn't think that there was lurkers specifically on this ramp. He was setting up to try and do a big surround, which is always a good play against lurkers, but he didn't have the detection to know that there was nothing on this ramp. And it ends up being a tragic situation for him. He will remax very quickly, but like you said, it cost him that 5th base. He's got another base on the right side coming up just now, and he does deny this base on the top side for Reynor. But Reynor pulls very far ahead, I would say, in the economy with this. And the trades, well, they're pretty much, actually, they're now favoring Reynor once this skirmish finishes. Reynor officially takes the lead by just a couple of resources as that Zealot run by gets cleaned up.
So here's the problem right now. This is, I know I'm talking about ground toss, air toss. What do you do? This is +2 carriers. They have +1 shields. Carriers are going to get
a big abduct.
Yeah, you really cannot afford to do that. I was going to say, it's like, well, the Corruptors don't have upgrades. And the Hydras are not incredibly well upgraded. They got +3 attack, sure, but they will get melted by a bunch of carriers if you're able to drop Storms on top. The problem is, good luck pushing into this, right? That is a ton of Hydras that can sit back and just feast on whatever's abducted. There are a bunch of spores at the front, lurkers to prevent the storms going down. And meanwhile, the right side base is going to get canceled as well. So the map is slowly getting smaller for ShoWTimE right now. He's really running out of position, but those storms, you can drop a couple more. The zoning one's not going to get a ton, but that was a significant amount of damage done to the Hydras. And let's see if ShoWTimE can take advantage of this. All the Hydras are like 75% HP. They're all in the yellow. Another storm or two is a big deal. And that revelation, it does make a big deal. You know, you want to have at least one Oracle in your army. Make sure you know where the lurkers are. Make sure you know where the Hydras are. And even more importantly, to be totally honest, make sure you know where the Vipers are. Make sure you can have your High Templar forward if they dive in, so you can avoid abducts. So for now, the High Templar.
Oh God, the High Templar! Oh, they got very lost. Instead, they will find some big storms. Fortunately, only losing 2 of them there. That was nearly a disaster. Looks like a Nidus Worm in the main base does get... oh, it was a Lurker drop. Oh, cute. Lurker drop plus the Nidus Worm. We do have an Observer here, and this will get cleaned up. Good job from ShoWTimE to not fall apart to this. Meanwhile, though, draw or attack on the top side. We do see a nice abduct able to kill off 1 carrier. Actually took 3 volleys, which is kind of funny. Oh, but an attack on the bottom side will force out a recall, and that alleviates a lot of pressure from Reynor. He is going to try and drop another Nidus Worm in the main base, just loading it up with a bunch of lurkers. But I believe these Zealots should be able to get the denial with their +3 Zealot, or with their +3 upgrades. Good job from ShoWTimE. That could have gotten very out of hand very quickly.
So late game PvZ is kind of weird, Steadfast, right? Where Protoss gets into it a little faster. Generally, when we talk about like late game SkyToss play, and they're able to get their upgrades faster. +3 is just about done for these carriers. +1 or +2 shields on the way, adding in ground or +3 ground armor. Point being, they're able to get into their upgrades very quickly, and you have this really nice power spike on +3 carriers or whatever it is. And that's great. It's really hard for the Zerg to fight into that without really nice kill casting. One Immortal gets abducted, but that is not going to be enough on this one. ShoWTimE sensing maybe a little bit of an opportunity. But with the lurkers growing, it's really hard. Nidus actually pops up in the main base very briefly. Not going to get much done there. But point being, Reynor's on double Spire. At a certain point, when the Corruptors have as many armor upgrades or even more upgrades than the carriers do, Interceptors do like nothing. They do so little damage. So ShoWTimE has this really nice timing right now that he can maybe take advantage of, as the Observer's going to have to go forward, but Spores make it really hard. ShoWTimE has this really nice timing he can try to hit, but the longer this goes, the less impactful these carriers are going to be. We're going to have +3 armor maybe for the ground eventually. We're going to have +3 armor for the Corruptors eventually. And what all that means is that, again, these carriers, they're not going to be nearly as powerful as they are right now.
That is true, but I do have to mention the fact that ShoWTimE is not letting Reynor take a 6th base. Reynor is playing a very defensively oriented style. Ooh, we do have a lot of lurkers unloading in the natural. Reynor's trying to get counter damage with plays like this, and he finally gets one to pay off. Oh, Archons are so clumped up. They get blasted by those +3 lurkers. And this is a very successful drop. Or, well, not even drop. It's a very successful Nidus Worm coming on in. We do see a small recall from ShoWTimE. Oh, but unfortunately going to lose a couple... No, just 1 High Templar. Broodlords, though, are looking for High Templar on the other side. Won't quite be able to get them. Those Broodlords not able to get in on top of that 1 High Templar. Very close. Meanwhile, Lurker is just going to kind of run forward at this point. Reynor going hunting with the... looks like he actually caught a couple of carriers with the Corruptors. Oh, man, this game is pure chaos.
Yeah, man, dude... I know we talked about how fast Reynor is, but Reynor is so fast. He tries to dive on top. ShoWTimE does on top of these lurkers, but no. That is not really a thing. Oracle's going to drop Revelation, but will fall down in exchange. Now, what I do like what I'm seeing in the tech transition coming out of ShoWTimE. +1 armor, sure, fine. He's adding Tempest into this. I talked to some Protoss who wanted to say that actually, in the late game, you should have like 3 carriers and the rest Tempest Void Ray, which is maybe questionable. You're very worried about ShoWTimE or Parabomb Fungal, Void Rays, or, you know, it's a bit of a problem. But Reynor has made the natural of ShoWTimE his own base. That is very much true. The double Nidus lurkers are going to go down, but all the lurkers will fall. So you are a little bit worried about that one, but Reynor's got sieging on the left side as well with both lurkers and Broodlords. Now tries to siege in a little bit more. And ShoWTimE's army is just too slow. ShoWTimE's fingers maybe are just too slow. He cannot deal with this. on the north side as well. What is that? Okay, more stuff's going to go down. It's just chaos everywhere, but at least some of the Corruptors have gone down, trying to poke away at this. But here comes the Viper moving forward, not going to find it. How do you break this position? Technically, this army of ShoWTimE should be better, but it feels so scary to run down the ramp.
Yeah, even just a few lurkers is scary to run down a ramp into, and you don't know how many lurkers there are exactly. Oh, probes. ShoWTimE is still maxed out, and Reynor is depleting a lot of his bank. His gas bank is not huge. If ShoWTimE can find a good fight even now, with the trades going heavily in favor of the Zerg, this is not over yet, especially if ShoWTimE can knock out this base. He's actually going to get this base on the top, and oh no, oh my god, those are probes. Those are probes. Oh, nice snipe on a Tempest right there. Oh man, this game is actually wild here. Ooh, Archon's trying to jump it on top of this. We do see a blinding cloud trying to keep this safe, but he does lose the Viper. There's actually not a ton of Broodlords. And a lot of Corruptors actually really like that ShoWTimE stopped building air units. He has correctly gone into heavy ground once again. Both players on a gigantic army supply and a huge amount of army value. There's not a whole lot of broods. Oh, these lurkers are very much out of position. He does find 1 and 2 of them, and he's able to blink through and get another one. No, the Corruptor's going to dive in on top of the Tempest. Will get a few of them. Fungal growth coming in from the high ground. Corruptor's actually able to get out without really losing too much. And it looks like the Hydra's cleaned up all the probes on the left side, so this still should be okay for Reynor. He's still in a good position. Oh man, this game is nuts.
How was that legal? The Corruptors dove on top of like 7 Archons and didn't die, and a Storm. Like, how is that a legal move? I don't know. They dove right past it, and ShoWTimE was not really, I guess, concentrating the fire well enough. But now, Corruptors are going to try to knock down all the tech here. They're going to knock the Nexus down. That is absolutely true. But also, I think a lot of these Stargates fall down. We have 1 remaining, I think. No, 2 remaining in the main base, but the Nexus is dead. 1 of the Stargates are dead. Although, okay, so where are we at tech-wise? We're at 13 Lurkers, 4 Brutes. ShoWTimE, what's your composition at this point? The Zerg player is at soon to be very, very soon +3, +2 for air. So the carriers are not going to be nearly as good as they are. ShoWTimE's pretty broke. Very little minerals, very little gases. Those Zealots are going to fall down. Corruptors and the Natural are being annoying, but Reynor is out of gas. So if the Corruptors all fall down, I understand what Reynor's doing. He's like, look, you don't have any air anymore. This is not particularly useful. But if all these Corruptors go down, that's not easy to replace. Again, the gas count is very low. And a couple Sky units, whatever it is, Void Rays, Corruptors, Tempest, or Carriers, Tempests, would be a really solid idea. Again, just considering all those Corruptors would theoretically go down, but at least enough of them get out that probably okay.
If ShoWTimE had denied this base on the left side, if he could have actually gotten even 2 or 3 Zealots over there when the probes were just wailing away at the hatchery, and Reynor's only mining off 1 base for gases, I guess 1.5, well, is about to mine out. Not a whole lot of gas. That Tempest transition that he is going for now could have been so good. Oh, ShoWTimE, no unit in the wall, and Reynor is going to get in with a ton of +3 cracklings. And that is going to be a big problem for ShoWTimE here.
Yeah, you know, he's going to get on top of a bunch of broods. That's pretty solid. Gets 2 of them. You know, he does have to deal with his Ling run by in the main into the Natural. It's a Scout on top of everything else. He knows that Tempests are on the way, which maybe changes the way he's looking to play this. But again, ShoWTimE is mining more. He's mining more minerals. He's mining more gas. You talked about it. Reynor's on 41 probes. ShoWTimE's on 40. That's fine. But there's more money to mine for ShoWTimE right now as the Storms are getting a decent amount of damage on these Broodlords. But the thing is, you got to pay attention as we look at this. The army's kind of disjointed for ShoWTimE. He's got some of it on the right side, some on the bottom side. This is not going to be an easy fight to take because realistically, running up that ramp against Lurkers, impossible. Not easy whatsoever. So you're looking for another angle.
There's only 3 Immortals left in this army. Reynor has gone heavily back into Lurkers. 21 Lurkers on the field. And ShoWTimE is not going to be able to deal with that. There's still enough Corruptors to contest, you know, 1, 2, 3 Tempests. If ShoWTimE was on, you know, 2.5, 3 mining bases and it was like triple Stargate carrier, or something like that, then there certainly would be an opportunity to win with an air transition. We are going to see ShoWTimE splitting his army. He needs to go. There are no lurkers here. He doesn't know that, though, so I think he's hesitating a tiny bit, but he will go in now. And at the very least, well, these lanes, they shouldn't do very much against these Archons.
Well,
He gets a wraparound.
Yeah, I mean,
That was actually way better than I expected.
Yeah,
I mean, plus 3 real advanced lanes, pretty damn good.
Yeah, if those Archons are all together, you're right.
Exactly.
But they were off all separate, so I like the move out of ShoWTimE. Absolutely there. You know the army's on the right side, so you can try to make something happen. And in general, I've liked the base rotation out of ShoWTimE, but he's trapped in a corner. I think you just got to recall, right? That's the only way out of this. There's just nothing else to do. But if in doing so, you sacrifice the rest of your economy. You sacrifice any chance of mining anything more in this game. Broodlord will fall. And again, remember, Reynor has very little minerals, very little gas. If ShoWTimE can take a fight, if he can get good storms, if he can come in from 360 degrees, maybe. But Steadfast, that is such a hard maybe.
It is. We're going to see Zealots warping in. Unfortunately, he loses the cannon, so he loses detection. We are going to see ShoWTimE jumping in on top of this army. Finds the lurkers in a broad siege. They were not set up for this. Snipe on the Observer, though. Brilliant move from Reynor with the Corruptors. Revelation not forthcoming, and now there's no detection. One Observer, where is it? It is coming over from the left side, and that means there's no detection for another while. Second Observer is going to get built here, but the lurkers that were being jumped get saved by that move from Reynor. That was a clutch snipe on the Observer.
That it was. So now ShoWTimE, he's just getting aggroed into this. He's going to have running right. This Neptune, this is a problem. The lurkers are getting, finally there's detection somewhere, but one lurker not going to get found out. It's getting so much done.
Snipes another one.
Okay, so Observer goes down, but a lot of lurkers did just die. ShoWTimE supply block 80 out of 78. Reynor's not mining a ton either. You can say, yeah, he's mining something. That's important. But if ShoWTimE can just knock these lurkers down, that's what he needs to do. Storm's down. More lurkers are going to fall. Base is going to finally go down on the Corruptors. They're going to pee it down, and it's gone. But, and I know this is a heavy but right now. Yeah, ShoWTimE's dead. There is no but. Reynor takes game 1, but what a game it was.
Oh, man. If it wasn't for... I thought Reynor was in a much better spot than he was. It got so close. If it wasn't for those Observer snipes, I think ShoWTimE actually cleans up everything and probably takes that game. That was unbelievably heads-up play from Reynor. I know it's such a minor thing, but like he really identified correctly that he needed to snipe that detection or he was in huge trouble.
Although I guess I'm willing to give Reynor the benefit, the credit to that, absolutely. But I guess my one question is like there was nothing else for those Corruptors to shoot at, you know? Like it was just the Observers in the sky. So maybe like I didn't see whether he actually targeted them down or they just kind of the Corruptors all shot.
No. He was specifically looking for them. I definitely recognized the movement there. That was a I need to kill this Observer, and he did it. He did it twice. So very well done from Reynor there. And without those, I really think without those Observer snipes, we're looking at a completely different scenario.
Yeah, and I think in general, one thing we were lacking was the sufficient Oracle count. Yeah, you know, Oracles, they're flimsy units, and they may be a little bit more, you know, they're a little more expensive. But the ability to dive in, drop Revelation, run away is, yes, it's limited. Yes, Observers are permanent until they die. But the ability to provide that option is such a big deal when you're dealing with these late game compositions like we saw Reynor do. Regardless, it means that we're now into this game where Reynor's up a map in this series. He's played really awesome, actually. That was probably the game of the day for me. I don't think that's too much of a stretch to say, at least on this stream. But we got more on the way. It's game 2. In the upper left, he's up one map in this series for Basilisk. He's the fastest man alive. It's Reynor.
And his opponent playing very well and really making his opponent sweat. For big, it is ShoWTimE.
Apparently music was turned off this entire time. That is nothing. Love that.
No.
And Fast, was listening to the music of your voice not enough?
Apparently not. Apparently not, and that's okay. Because, you know, the StarCraft II music is a bop. It is actually pretty awesome. I like it a lot.
When I'm sitting there and I'm trying to get homework done, it's the StarCraft music. When I'm sitting and I'm going on a run, it's the StarCraft music. When I am sitting in my bed and the day is done, Steadfast, it is also StarCraft music. I am running out of rhymes, but that is fine because we're looking at game 2. Reynor, this time it's not 15-15. Hard lead is not nearly as painful to have to take your third base as your natural, so he's just going to accept it. That's fine. And now, Steadfast, we look at this game. And ShoWTimE, he went the quad adept thing. He went oracles as we expected. Where do we go from here? Do we see the charge lot build that's been percolating around, +1 charge with oracles? In fact, that was what Hero did to kill Reynor on this very map in Masters Coliseum. Is it something else?
I don't think we'll see ShoWTimE try and do something like that, like a big blindside play. I think if ShoWTimE's going to do something, it'll be a more stock standard type of pressure. Hero is one of those players who's like, yeah, you know, this build, I do it all the time. It's 7 oracles, 15 zealots, 2 sentries at, you know, like 845, and yeah, I used it to kill Dark, and I really like it. And we'll never see it again. You know, like he plays so much by feel, Hero that is. ShoWTimE is a much more methodical, by the book type of Protoss. That's not to say he won't get aggressive. But I don't think he's going to do something that's really out there per se.
That's fair. ShoWTimE is, I mean, there's a reason we call him Demour, the wall, which is very funny because his wall was what kind of his wall failing him was what led to his demise in game 1. But regardless, there's a like, he's a solid defensive player. He's cut out of the same block as stats, but I mean, we have seen him do some crazier things on occasion. We have seen him occasionally get a little bit more aggressive. And I guess on the flip side, does Reynor go for the lurker thing again? Yeah, it worked, but there's a reason that lurkers are not the most popular in this matchup. Not anymore. It's not all that great. Ooh, Adepts are going to get in, and this seems like 2 drones at the very least. Lings are going to try to chase this down, but it's 4 Lings that fast. That is not enough at the time being, so 2 drones are going to go down. A bunch of Lings will fall. He's going to get the 3rd drone, targets it down. 3 will fall, and 1 Adept gets out anyways with the speed timing. So very well done there, ShoWTimE. We talked about the last game, how he dives in with 4 Adepts and 3 Oracles and gets 5 drones, and that's not great. 2 Adepts for 3 drones and a bunch of Lings. Yeah, that is much, much better.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Reynor there. His SimCity actually really worked against him, and good job from ShoWTimE to take advantage of that. He spotted where that spawning pool was. He's like, oh, there's an Adept alley right here. I can take advantage of this. And it's a little bit unfortunate that Reynor kind of left that opening, but you gotta give props to ShoWTimE for taking advantage of that, and really utilized that well. So good job by Demour. And like you said, it's a much more effective play. I don't think the play in game 1 was bad, but I think it was more of like a wash with a small advantage to Reynor, like really nominal. But this one was quite a nice find because he killed those drones a lot earlier, and it was without, you know, losing any Oracle HP. It was a smaller commitment. Oh, I was going to say, I hope he doesn't commit in here, and he wisely gets out, doesn't even take any actual hull damage. Reynor looks like he got supply blocked, but maybe extractor tricked to get an extra drone out. That's cute.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're gonna make a mistake, there are ways to come back. Well, at least as a Zerg player, there are ways to get yourself briefly on supply blocked. This queen positioning is a really nice. Oracles are gonna dive by, but half damage gets done. Oracles on the 3rd base gets a couple more. And behind this, oh, gotta run, gotta hide, gotta flee the scene, and the Oracle's gonna be able to do so.
Oh no!
Did one go down?
Did it? No, wait, where'd it go? Oh my god, they were stacked on top.
They were stacked that much?
They were stacked so tight, I literally thought it was 1 unit.
Same. I'm looking at this, I'm like, wait, where's the other Oracle? But that's just because I
don't know that I've ever been bamboozled like that before. By the way, look at this creep spread. This is nuts. This is so far forward. Is Reynor trying to do something?
I think so.
Like, look, he doesn't even need to, but like, this is just ridiculous creep spread right now.
This does feel like it's telegraphing a push though, right? Like, we're not seeing, generally when you spread creep, you spread tumors forward and out. You try to maintain some sort of density of tumor.
Yeah.
This is just tumor, tumor, like just pushing as far on the map forward as quickly as possible. So whether he goes for it or not is a different question, but it's telegraphing aggression. At least that's what ShoWTime's going to be expected. Notice where he put his stasis trap. Right on the high ground, right at the end of that creep. Like whether or not this is going to happen, ShoWTime thinks it's going to happen.
Yeah. We are going to be seeing that opener that Classic pioneered once again, that very fast 3 base, 6 gas, Blink Stalker into Storm play, which, to be honest, I'm kind of surprised it didn't become the absolute stock standard of PvZ for so many players, because it does really feel like a great setup. And I'm glad to see ShoWTime, you know, showing some confidence. Nice job right there from Reynor. Does trigger the stasis ward. ShoWTime, unfortunately, not able to keep that preserved. Not actually with all the stasis wards except for one getting triggered. Oh, actually, really nice job from Reynor. He gets a cancel on his opponent's 4th. And we'll find a couple of stalkers. Really well done with the lanes.
Yeah, that is really, really nice. Now, well, we got Storm on the way. The thing we're missing, though, when you talk about Storm and you want to be effective with it, is we're missing our Robo Bam. Yes, hero style doesn't really get Robo. Absolutely. And there it is. Sorry, Robo Facility, I guess. So that's going to go down, which means Warp Prisms are eventually going to be unlocked, which is the important thing when you're getting high Templars for Storm. You want to be able to store them in a Warp Prism and make sure they stay safe and get interesting flank angles. But Reynor is adding a very quick Spire, and this, to me, does not look like Muta play. Like, this looks like he's trying to go and has read what ShoWTime did in the previous game and thinks maybe he's doing it again. And he is just going for Broodlords as quick as humanly possible, which, against Archon Immortal Storm Steadfast, it's pretty good.
I'm not sure, but you don't actually need the Spire until you start up the Hive. I wonder if this is almost a bait Spire, like hoping it gets scouted. It will, of course, go towards Broodlords, but if ShoWTime sees this, which he does right now, okay, he wants to confirm, is there a Hive? And he will get the scout. That's a great job from Reynor. This feels like it was a misdirect from Reynor here. And, oh, wow. Now it's going to be a Hydra Den, 2 more Evo chambers, and look at this. It will force a Phoenix. Okay, that's something.
And getting a single Phoenix isn't, you know, I mean, Steadfast, a way that we used to beat, or the Protoss players used to beat lurkers, was you'd open Phoenix, right? And then you would go charge that Immortal Archon, and it was the Pika build, because we are pocket monsters apparently, but more importantly, because you Phoenix into Immortal charge that Archon, and you lift all the lurkers and you charge on top of everything else, and it works out really nicely.
Oh, it's double lurker den instead. This is so cute.
Surely this is too greedy, right? Like, it's triple upgrade, double lurker den. Surely ShoWTime is able, like, surely this is punishable, right?
I don't know, because like lurkers are still going to be good fighting units. It's Storm on the left side. The thing is, ShoWTime, like, he's consolidating on 4 bases. If he recognizes this before the lurkers, you know, are able to pop out, he could do a push that would be very scary. Problem is, unfortunately, he's actually supply blocked at 156. He does have a bunch of gateways coming online, and will find a couple of these units that were caught by the stasis ward. Lurkers can morph in pretty much immediately if Reynor feels like a push is coming. And there we go, 3 lurkers start up, but he will prioritize the double lurker den upgrades. Super cool play to really bring those lurkers online quickly.
I mean, on the flip side, lurkers are not all that great without +2 seismic spines burrow as well. So if ShoWTime can hit, like you say, if he's going to get a couple, you can get a couple lurkers if you're worried about the defense, but 3 lurkers without their upgrades are not all that scary, not just yet. ShoWTime's got charge done. He's adding in Immortals 2x2. You would think, again, that this is something he might be able to try to bust through, but Reynor is aware of that opportunity. There's a reason that he's got so many Lings and so many Roaches on the right side. The stasis trap's actually going to be really nice, and this time the wall will hold anyways. But there's a reason Reynor's counterattacking like this. He doesn't want to give ShoWTime that opportunity to punish him as the Lings are going to get kettled right on in there. There's a reason he doesn't want to go or he wants to go for this run by. He understands that he's at a weak point in his game. He's got so many upgrades that weren't quite done at that point. So you force ShoWTime back home. You force him to respond to your run by. And by the time he's ready to move out on the map again, you have Lurker Range, Lurker Burrow, +2, +3 halfway done, adding in +1 flyer. Not that it's super relevant right now, but you're adding in all of this stuff. That means that ShoWTime is not really going to be able to do it at once. And how did those lings get there?
I have no idea. I'm very curious myself, to be honest. The lurkers do have those upgrades now. They are all set up and they're in a strong siege position. Meanwhile, this little Ling Roach counterattack on the bottom side, it's not really doing much in terms of damage, but it is distracting ShoWTimE, and it's allowing this SimCity to kind of get torn down. Lurkers, they are going to get stormed pretty hard. It does take 3 storms to kill a lurker for full HP. Do not lose those High Templar. Oh, that was so close. ShoWTimE barely able to keep those last, 3 High Templar alive, I believe. Zealots do finally finish up their charge. I actually thought they had charge a long time ago, but it just completed. Reynor, this is kind of almost a bluff army. Oh, nice job. Kills the 5th Nexus before it can get up.
And that is a kill, not a cancel. Yeah, it's...
Yes.
You say ShoWTimE's being distracted, that can't deal with the front. I think he's being patient, right? He's waiting for those 3 carriers to be ready. He's waiting for charge to get done. He's waiting for this big army to be able to sweep the army from the map, and that seems like it to be what it's going to be able to do. But unfortunately, Steadfast, this appears to be the story of the series, his wall lets him down a little bit. It's not there, so 9 probes are going to go down. Links to the middle line are going to get even more. So, yeah, he hit the timing. He's got all these carriers. He might still be able to bust through, but he's more all than he was briefly. It's 57 probes to 91 drones, but ShoWTimE's army supply is massive here. It's +1 armor, it's +3 attack for the lurker or for the hydras. This setup, I mean, it's double lurkerden as well. Reynor has been very, very greedy, and ShoWTimE, at the very least, this base is going to go down. How much further can he punish him? Because again, it's 55 probes. His economy is not incredible. Eventually, you would imagine that the money that Reynor has is going to really start to show forward.
Yeah, I mean, he has lost a lot, and he's lost a lot more than ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE is traded very efficiently, but like you said, the replenishment is a problem. Now, the carriers are already, almost halfway towards +2 weapons, and Reynor did not continue his ground upgrades, so he is going to have a difficult time if it ends up being Hydra versus carrier. And there's 20 Hydras, that's a lot, but there's also 6 High Templar that have a lot of energy. In fact, they might be maxed out on energy. Close enough. There's at least, 10 storms there? There's a lot of storms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 storms at the moment.
So, Steadfast, just worth pointing out, Reynor killed his Hydra Den, I guess with Vipers, trying to make something happen. And hey, there's the Phoenix finding value on top of that. Phoenix into Charizard Archon lives again. Or single Phoenix into Charizard Archon. Meanwhile, his pressure on the right side is trying to get on top of this base, but the Hydras, they're not able to fight these carriers, not really. So ShoWTimE now is going to win fights on multiple fronts, knocks down a lot of lurkers, but every single time he tries to move out on the map, the random changeling in the main base, or the random overseer, or whatever it is going to drop a Nidus down, and it's going to force ShoWTimE back once again. But he's not going back this time. He's going to try to get on top of this 4th base of Reynor. The Nidus in the main base is something certainly that has to get dealt with, and it seems to finally. This is not a lot of Corruptors. The feedback on top of the Viper means, yeah, no, the Abduct is there. The Corruptors are not going to be able to knock it down. Storms blanket everything. And ShoWTimE, at this point, he's got a bulkhead. He's knocked a base down. He's done so much damage. And the Nidus didn't go up. Reynor's back down to 4 bases. This army of ShoWTimE is very difficult for him to contest.
It is so difficult. This looks like an amazing position right now for ShoWTimE. He's secured his own 5th base. I just would love to see him build some static defense around here. He is extremely broke. His mineral income is, well, it is not particularly high. He's only on that 59 worker count. Where are all the probes, actually? I guess they're just spread across 5 bases. They all look kind of sparse. But Reynor, the army values right now are massively in favor of ShoWTimE. Like, yes, it's also army supplies, but it's not just the supplies, it's the quality. We got 4 carriers, we got a bunch of High Templar, a bunch of Immortals, 7 Archons. It was, did I say Oracles? I meant carriers, 4 carriers. There's a lot of really high quality supply for ShoWTimE. And it's also worth noting his ground upgrades are 3-2. That is really strong.
That it is. ShoWTimE, or I guess, sorry, not ShoWTimE. Reynor has kind of given up on contesting the air. Right, he built a couple Corruptors. It's not going to happen. These 4 carriers pretty much have unfettered access to things. This will force a recall, though, as finally a Nidus head goes up. Reynor's been trying. He's lost, What is that? You know what? Honestly, I thought it was worse. He lost 4 Nidus heads, which does start to become expensive as Reynor's economy is again. He has no gas, so he has totally given up on contesting the air. He's going to have to rely on abducts, hopefully, but actually, he doesn't have a single Viper. Like, he has, short of just winning the entire fight and winning the game off of it, he has no way to deal with these carriers easily whatsoever, especially as ShoWTimE now is going to break through all the static defense. Now, the Archons don't necessarily want to be there. That's a lot of lurker shots. And where are our carriers? They're not.
They were recalled to the center to deal with the lurker run by, and they have not rejoined the army. ShoWTimE had a big opportunity to get, A, disengage immediately, or B, try and get in on top of those lurkers while they were trying to burrow. He kind of picked a middle ground where he didn't really focus too much, and it ends up that he does get a bit of a bloody nose there. Still, I think I am very much in favor of ShoWTimE's position at this point in the game. He's on 5 bases. He's taking a 6th. Reynor did keep this base up. The other thing is, as the lurkers were getting over, ShoWTimE could have maybe just clicked this hatchery and gotten out. And that would have been a dream situation. As it is, he actually should be able to just kill it. But, well, actually, there's maybe an opportunity for him to land some big storms on his Hydra army on the left side and find some opportunities. Oh, but as the lurkers get back on the top side, this should be defensible now for Reynor.
Okay, so Revelation gets dropped once again. There's a small part of me that says that these lurkers are unsupported. Like, you should be able to, you might just be able to storm and move right through it, but you know, it's +2 armor lurkers. They are scary. Slings again. They're not going to get too much this time. Instead, ShoWTimE is going to move up a different angle. More lurkers are going to arrive. Storms have to get dropped. It's a massive surround, but is it going to matter here? Storms are going to land on top of everything. ShoWTimE tries to move through the left side. Lurkers are getting a ton of damage here, and the reinforcements are going to start to arrive. This army will fall. But Steadfast, if we look at the cost of it at the end, I mean, it is more expensive for ShoWTimE in the gas. More. Yeah.
But it's more so that army is very difficult to replace. However, Reynor's economy has been so gutted, relatively speaking, that ShoWTimE is still able to replenish, and he's building carriers once again. He's getting double immortal on the way. If that engagement wasn't as dominant as of a surround, with the storms, if that's only a one-sided engagement from Reynor, like he only comes in from one angle, that is a disaster for the Italian Zerg. But as it stands, he was able to get a really great cleanup. He might overestimate his position, though, and not think ShoWTimE could rebuild as quickly as he can. Stasis wards, good job from Reynor to not get trapped. That would have been very easy to run into those, but oh, as I say that, there's a massive stasis ward on the top side, but it's just lanes. Storms on the lurkers, though. They're going to chip away at this pretty hard.
I'm looking at this army, right? And this is 7 carriers to 21 Hydras. The carriers are, like, they're decently upgraded. They don't have +3 just yet, but they got armor and shields. I kind of look at this army, and with the storm on top, I don't know what's stopping the carriers from just kind of A-moving. Realistically, the base falls, the Hydra count's okay. And I guess there are a couple corruptors, but it really doesn't feel like there's enough anti-air to deal with this army that ShoWTimE has. This is what I'm looking at.
There are a lot of Hydras, and they do have 3 too. But yeah, if he can land some storms on those Hydras. However, it looks like Reynor was anticipating that, pulled the Hydras back prematurely. Very wise decision, and let the lurkers kind of go to town and do their thing. Reynor, great positioning there with his army, reading exactly what you read and exactly how ShoWTimE wanted to take that fight. We do see the counterattack on the top side is going to run into some spines, but should be able to cook through this. Meanwhile, actually, is this just going to be a base trade? It sure as hell will. Okay, now we have priority mode. What do we do first? Do we build bases? Do we try and knock out external bases? Do we go for the main? The answer is, I think both players are going to try and get right to each other's main bases. And I think that is a wise call from both of them, because, of course, that is where a ton of the tech is.
All right, so bear with me, Steadfast, as we talk about this. ShoWTimE's got more bank, and I was going to say ShoWTimE, theoretically, if he warped in a couple zealots in the main base, those Hydras die. It's 3-3 with shields. Those Hydras would get knocked down by like 10 zealots is what you have. That being said, he's supply block. That's not as relevant as it was anymore. But at this point, ShoWTimE's got 1,600, 1,000 in the bank. He's got a better army. He's got 30 more armies to fly. He's got a mining base still on the right side. Reynor's not really mining. He's building another hatchery. Reynor's got to find some way to force ShoWTimE into a fight that he won't win, which doesn't really feel all that easy right now. It's not an A-move situation, not quite. But the pressure's on Reynor right now. He's got to knock this economy down out of ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE, he's got that right side base. He's building more gateways. He's building the cyber core once again. He's going to get more pylons up eventually because right now he's very heavily supply blocked. But also Reynor's very heavily supply blocked. Just that single Phoenix from earlier on, right? The single Phoenix is going to knock down so many of these overlords. Now here we go. The army's going to run forward.
Oh, he's going after the lurkers.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just going to kill them. That's so smart. Now he can just use the High Templar with impunity. It will be expensive, but as long as you don't lose the carriers themselves, you can replenish the interceptors. ShoWTime's still mining.
Again, actually, you know what? Steadfast, there's another level to why this is so smart. ShoWTime's got a big bank, 1.6K,
Yeah.
1.6K. You know the one thing that he can make is this Nexus. Oh my. But again, the one...
I don't think it would have mattered anyways because he could have just rebuilt it, but it would have shut down mining for a while. That was the last Nexus. Instead, now Reynor has to go as soon as possible. He does have another base on the bottom side, and he's got 16 drones, and they're all mining there, but he's literally rebuilding a spawning pool. Yeah. His tech has been full reset. If you look at the structures tab, there is one hatchery and one hydroden, and soon to be subtract one hydroden.
Steadfast, don't forget the 5 creep tumors. Well,
no, yeah,
5 creep tumors. But anyway, talking about ShoWTimE spending the interceptors like this, he's got this big bank. He is mining. The only thing he can actually make right now, because he just doesn't have enough pylons, is interceptors.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only thing he can spend money on. So spend it, right? You know, why not? Although going up this ramp feels very hard. Feels very hard, Steadfast.
Yeah, but I like what he's doing. He's just going to reposition. I think at this point we are at the situation where an A move can just get it done. Interceptors once again going to target down the lurkers, and now he realizes, oh yeah, I can just fight the Hydras. Even if he loses this fight, as long as he doesn't lose the carriers. There it is. There's the storms that say this game is over, Reynor. We're going to game 3. It might take a little while before we see the tap out, but this is over. This is done and dusted at this point. We do see a snipe on the observer, which is actually a big... Nope, never mind. There's 2 more observers. He did lose the robotics facilities.
Yeah, that's a problem.
But ShoWTimE, yeah, ShoWTime's chilling. He's big chilling.
You know, I was going to ask, where are my pylons? Because ShoWTimE, he had this big bank. You would think one of the first priorities, you know, you reestablish tech, absolutely, but also unsupply block yourself, right? I understand this is like, look, I got interceptors. I can spend money. I can spend this bank. I can take advantage of it without actually spending supply or without requiring any sort of kind of supply overhead. But on the flip side, you have all this money. Unsupply block yourself. ShoWTimE, like, it's kind of useful.
Yeah, I do like the addition of Spore Crawlers here from Reynor. I think that's incredibly smart, but as the Hydras get targeted down, good micro from Reynor, and actually the Spores really go to town on these carriers. There's only 5 carriers. For some reason, ShoWTimE didn't have the 5th one actually with that. That's, well, I mean, that's 20% of his interceptors. That is a little bit of a misstep. But of course, he's been in a situation like this on this very map against Reynor before. Now, it is a drastically different situation, but he might feel similarly. He might feel like, oh no, I need to be so careful. Good job making sure the Changeling does get killed off, although that probably shouldn't have been there for as long as it was. But it's, once again, the focus is on don't let Reynor have this one. Don't make a mistake that could let him back into the game. And for Reynor's part, I don't blame him for staying in this game. Like, make ShoWTimE come at you.
Especially on a group like this, right? This is Maru, this is ShoWTimE, this is Reynor, this is Dark, this is Cyan who beat down Maru, right? This is a crazy, crazy group. So yeah, you don't want to lose a single map if you can help it. Every single map should be hard fought, should be hard earned. But at this point, all the Hydras are dead. There are 3 of them that remain, and it's the attrition that matters. ShoWTimE is gonna tie us up in our series, Steadfast. It's been a wild series, and we get to go to game 3.
That we do. Yeah, that was a very cool little map, very cool little match right there. And even though, you know, it took a little while, ShoWTimE recognized he had his opponent in that checkmate position. He just was like, okay, I'll sack the interceptors. He did exactly what you were talking about, which is spending the money that he was mining on those interceptors to eventually win the game. Reynor, I really like what he did there. The spore crawlers, you know, the positioning, trying to maybe get a mistake out of ShoWTimE, but ShoWTimE, too smart, too good, too calm, and he makes sure he takes game 2.
Yeah, no, absolutely. By the way, updates elsewhere. Seems like Dark 2-0'd Hero, which is, you know, actually a little bit surprising to me, considering how good Reynor's run, or Hero's run, was in Masters Coliseum all through the lower bracket, taking down Dark and Reynor, and, you know, putting himself in good positions against Hero. But, you know, like, again, that surprises me just a little bit. Regardless, that's fine. This is Katowice, right? We expect to see everyone at tippy-top form. But it does seem that our players want a bit of a break as we are getting ready to move into game 3. At least one of them has asked for a break. We're going to see what our admins say about that one. But for now, in the broader things, in the broader, we can take a look at our groups as we look at kind of the broader context. Dark's at the top of the group. Cyan's at the top of the group. Again, I think that's the really big surprise.
Yeah.
But, like, as you look at this, losing a single series feels so hard, right?
It does not feel good. And one of not necessarily. It's entirely possible that Maru comes out of day number 1 down 0-2 in series. Not having played Dark yet. Not having played Hero yet. Hero, who knocked him out of ESL Masters Atlanta. Maru is in some big trub. Now, Maru versus Reynor, my eyes are, well, I'm a little bit sad that I can't have 2 sets of eyes for that one, because I would love to see that one. But we have got this match in front of us, a big match. ShoWTimE versus Reynor, game number 3. ShoWTimE looking to pull an upset and, you know, make a really big stink in this group D alongside Cyan coming out of the first round of matches.
Yeah, no, I would love to know what's going to happen. Anyways, Side Delta is game number 3. Steadfast, of course, the goal. Everyone moves into day 3, all at 2-2, all on equal map score, especially, I know we talked about Group A because it's kind of wide open, but also in this group of death. Give us those final games. Give us that shenanigans. Anyways, we have game 3. It's Side Delta. And in the upper left, in the blue, he's for Basilisk Gaming. Taking game 1, falling in the second. It's Reynor.
And his opponent spawning down in the bottom right with a phenomenal game number 2, displaying excellent patience and a really strong, sturdy mindset. It is Big's ShoWTimE. And there's a reason that we always, as commentators, hype up players like ShoWTimE so hard, even though they haven't necessarily won a big tournament in a long time. It is because of games like that. It is because of games like that where they go the distance, they go toe-to-toe with players that we hold in extremely high regard, and really just take them to the limit. Even though we haven't seen ShoWTimE able to, like I said, win a big tournament, I am really excited about this one.
It's funny. ShoWTimE, it feels like he's been knocking on the door of that top 4 finish, of that finals appearance maybe, for like, I mean, for forever, but particularly in this last year, taking Reynor to the brink multiple times. And ESL Masters winner in the Home Story Cup and in all of these events, looking solid against Clem, doing very well there. Like, I actually think taking Clem down at Home Story Cup, at least looking very, very good. So he's always kind of been right there, but the trick is coming over that hump, getting over that hump, and what a day to do it, right? If he's able to do it here at our $500,000 tournament, one of our most important tournaments in the StarCraft circuit. Now, I'm not saying, by the way, that this is what's gonna happen. And this is still a horrifyingly difficult group. It's Maru, it's Dark, it's Reynor, it's Hero. ShoWTimE somehow is our 5th seeded player in this group, which is almost feels like a miscarriage of justice.
Huh.
But no, actually, sorry, that's playing against Liberator. That's truly a miscarriage of justice. But anyways, ShoWTimE almost won game 1. ShoWTimE did win game number 2. He's looking pretty good.
It certainly is. It certainly is. His PVZ has been rock solid for a very long time. He's an extremely diligent and powerful player when he's on his horse. And you know, his result at TSL 9, where he was able to get a 3rd place and even pushed Maru to 6 games and almost very nearly took it to game 7. I am really, I told ShoWTimE, actually, I told him, because he was kind of doubting himself. Actually, hold that thought. We see two adepts joining up, the second one joining with the first, and this will be a couple of drones, 3 drones going down. Can you get that 4th? No. And he will have the adepts getting cleaned up. So that's actually, I think Reynor's, no, that's a lot of damage actually early on. Yeah, ShoWTimE should be happy with that, given how early that was and the fact that it was an extractor trick 15 hatch. But to finish my point, I told ShoWTimE, I was like, I think you're gonna win a tournament soon, dude. And he was like, nah, everyone's too good now. And I'm like, dude, you're really good. And it was really interesting to hear him kind of like doubt himself when he's been so rock solid. But I really do genuinely believe that I think he is due to win a really huge tournament. I don't know that it's going to be Katowice, but I would love to see him continue to just be so great and have that really translate to a fantastic result, because he's earned it.
Yeah, no, he has. I'd love to see it, regardless of where that happens. Certainly, nice job there on the links as well, getting the pylon. When we talk about that harass he got, by the way, he got a little bit more in game 2. But yeah, you're right. Still pretty nice. And behind this, he's got the same build, right? Forge, Twilight. This time the Forge is a little bit faster. And the probe's not in the wall. I don't know how much damage.
That's a very nice find for Reynor.
Yeah, I don't know how many. This is not going to kill all that much, but it confirms the scout. He knows that ShoWTimE is at least. He's going to get probes on the 3rd base as well. Forces a recall on the Oracle. This is one of those moments where Reynor just shows how fast he is. We saw that in the games that he won. We've seen that in the games that he lost. They're just moments where all of a sudden he just flexes everything. It's like, well, it looks like I know you talked about Archon mode training and being able to do that. It looks like he's 2 players on the same set of keyboard and mouse, right? Doing both, but +1's on. He's not going to go for charge. I was going to say this is a +1 melee opening, and Oracle into charge is one of the ways you can deal with that, and it's very popular on this map. But ShoWTimE not going to go for it. This is still 6 adepts and a couple of oracles. This is still a lot of pressure potential. Is the 4th base. Yeah, Reynor's not even going to put it down. It's not worth the waste.
Okay.
That would die.
Yeah. With even without the oracles underneath, it might be enough DPS. I'm actually not sure if 6 adepts would kill that right away. But with the oracles, for sure they would. We are going to see the oracles turn on their pulsar beams, and adepts shade into the main base. Nice Evo chamber block from Reynor. He is still going to lose some drones. Oh my God, the Spore Crawler block too. That actually, actually, never mind. That backfired. Needs to cancel one of those. ShoWTimE will shade into the natural. This is going to be 9 drones. That's considering the fact that Reynor was pumping out a ton of lings to, I think, put on some ling pressure of his own across the map. This went very well for ShoWTimE, in my opinion.
This was fantastic. 9 drones go down. The one thing I'm worried about is that this was 6 adepts. God. This was a pretty. Is this Swarm Host? No way. This is just for Hive.
This is like the fastest Hive off no tech.
Yeah,
this
right.
is insane.
I'm
no Baneling Nest, no Roach Warren.
I mean, I'm smelling a little bit of Ultra Jack. But anyways, the one thing I was going to say I'm worried about a tiny bit is that Reynor's got a bunch of lings. ShoWTimE just lost almost all of his anti-ling tech, right? So you're maybe a little bit scared of that one. Is 4th base and the 5th base are on the way for Reynor. But he gets this one up, and what was just canceled? Was that an infestation? Was that the infestation pit that was canceled? No.
That was the that was a Hydra Den. He started up a Hydra Den. I think he was maybe thinking about lurkers, like really, really fast Hive tech upgraded lurkers, but decides no, I want the Roach Warning just in case it is, something Well, I think just having roaches as a backbone is pretty important. Just Lings trying to get up into the super late game, or not even the super late game, but just going straight to Ultras feels very greedy. But it is going to most likely be Ultras as we got that Carapace upgrade coming on in and a super fast Hive Tech. And I gotta say, against this setup, something like fast Ultras can be really strong because you mentioned it in game number 2. There is a late robotics facility with something like this. Oh, nice target fire right there from Reynor, able to grab one of the Oracles. And a great Spore Crawler morph to save more. 4 drones for an Oracle, not ideal. And I think... Oh, okay. Well, we do see the robotics facilities getting started up as he sees this Hive Tech. I think ShoWTimE's identified this correctly.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, you know, he doesn't get a ton of drones, nice cancel, but he sees the Hive. He sees how fast the Hive is. He's been able to click on Lings and says, oh, okay, you got +1 attack. You got double, I've seen your double Evo. You can, at a certain point, you can put 2 and 2 together. And even as you talk about not having Robos, right? Immortals are the end-all be-all against a bunch of Ultras. Before Ultras really have their upgrades, Stalkers shred them. Stalkers do bonus damage to armored units. They are... You have to worry about the Lings, absolutely, but if you're able to catch the Ultras by themselves or you do overcommit to them, Stalkers annihilate Ultras. So that is something to always keep in mind here as you have something to stay in before you transition a little bit further. But for now, Spire's going down, Baneling Nest just about done. Reynor is kind of opening up different avenues, different pathways to get into this. And I think he builds Ultras. He's been very much enjoying this style as of late, but how quickly after he builds his first round of Ultras does he go into a Greater Spire? Because Ultras, they force Archon Immortal. And Archon Immortal, again, is not very good against a bunch of Brute Lords.
Yeah, I mean, there will be Blink, of course, and ShoWTimE is still going to be on +2, probably by the time a good number of Broodlords are out, if he does end up going straight into them. Even +3 might be done. Oh, nice job from Reynor, intercepting, and was paying attention with those Queens, intercepting the couple of Oracles here. ShoWTimE, though, he's been very good at just, you know, being a nuisance with these Oracles. I wonder how well this can actually work, and if it does end up being Ultras, I mean, a third Robo was added on. If ShoWTimE goes and is able to sniff out that it's a very fast Broodlord transition, he might just elect to get very aggressive. But we do have Reynor getting a fast Neural Parasite upgrade, and it is going to be a big Ling Doom drop into the main base. There's not a whole lot to spot this.
Well, hold on, Steadfast. There is a base down there to spot that now. So there is
that.
that.
Can just go south.
Just go south? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, simply don't fly over the base.
You know, that's too simple. That's too easy. But Reynor's getting ready for a triple-pronged attack. He's got Lings on this base. He's got Banelings getting ready to move on north side. Now, that was in vision, or just barely outside, so ShoWTimE will be aware of it. This base is going to get canceled. The storms are decent, but it's not going to get all that much done. Now the question is how can he react? He's got to have a drop in the main base. That is certainly where there's a single cannon here that'll slow things down just enough. Zealots are now going to get warped in. They got +2, but that's just about it. These Lings are heavily upgraded. They're better upgrades than the Zealots, but the SimCity, the positioning, at least for these Zealots at the start, is pretty solid. Meanwhile, Banelings on the right side, 15 go down, even with the Stasis Trap being nice. So again, I like the position for ShoWTimE. I like the tech situation for ShoWTimE. But if he's going to keep taking damage like this, 16 probes, maybe even a couple more as the Stasis Trap's going to finish up, that's a bit... Oh, he's going to just find the High Templar. Oh, no,
that's so beautiful from Reynor. I did not even realize there was High Templar up there. That is... Oh, my God. Very well done from Reynor. I was like, ShoWTimE dealing with this pretty nicely. Didn't realize there was 2 high-energy High Templar. Very exposed there. We are going to see a big attack coming on in. Lings getting it on top of the Immortals, but not enough of them. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, it looks like it's just Lings here. So ShoWTimE... He holds once again, and he's still maxed out. Even though he lost a bunch of probes, 79 workers still. And army values massively in favor of ShoWTimE again. This time, the resources lost is only 1,100 in favor of ShoWTimE. And Reynor is set up to go in towards those Broodlords. Oh, that was a big storm. 15 kills on that High Templar. Sheesh.
Yeah, those Lings to top. Now, Reynor did get 6 Corruptors, and they're going to turn into 6 Broodlords pretty quickly as he spends the rest of his gas on it. And 6 Broodlords are nice Steadfast, but the bank of Reynor is just going to be for Lings afterwards. Stalkers are in a decent number. They've got 2-1. They're going to have 3-2. But it looks like ShoWTimE is not interested in trying to hit a timing. He's been slowed down too much. The run-bys of Reynor are maybe just a little bit too strong. So instead, 2 additional Stargates. Fleet Beacon on the way. There we go. That's the word as he gets further into the late game. And, you know, Reynor's committed to this. It's not all in, but it is a heavy commitment. His gas count's not incredible. The army that ShoWTimE is slowly building is going to be stronger than what Reynor has, at least in the mid game. Yeah, I got to be careful, absolutely, and you can be worried about these Brood Lords, but even giving away a couple Stalkers and Zealots like that, A, it confirms what's happening, and B, it's going to get a Queen. It's going to get a bunch of probes, or get a bunch of drones, and actually even more as the Oracle's on the left side as well. ShoWTimE, while sitting back at home and being the wall and making sure he's safe and defensive, is getting a nice damage. B, really nice scouts on what's happening, what Reynor's going for.
Oh, those storms actually triggered 5 of the 6 Immortals barriers. That's a little unfortunate if there's an engagement, but I think ShoWTimE can just back away. Lings did kill an Archon, and a few Stalkers went down somewhere, more so than just the number that was on the top side. I think Lings were able to swing in from the back. Overall, it is way too close to call this game at this point, considering the gameplay we've seen from both players. It's kind of unfortunate for Reynor. He shifted the spines to the newest base to build more, just as the attack came in on the top side. So he lost a little bit more than maybe he needed to. Just a little bit unfortunate on the timing there. But with, well, Infestor Broodlord moving forward on the right side, it is going to be up to these Tempests to wail away at the army. Do we have any Oracles for Revelation? They're coming in on the right side, and those will be super valuable.
I mean, Steadfast, this is a very limited timing, though. 3 more Tempests are on the way. We're at 3. The match number is 5, because 5 one-shots Queens, 5, more importantly, one-shots Broodlords. That's what you're looking for. And actually, he's going to go up to 6, which is really nice. This pressure is kind of on a timer for Reynor right now. What I'm looking at, though, is the fact that the Mothership is just about done. And this timing, the Mothership is no longer a ultimate late game. You put it in your death ball and you try to keep it alive, and it's minus 400, minus 400. It's kind of a game-ending unit right now. It gives you these nice timings. It's no longer energy-based. You can, the slow field is actually a spell. It's actually worth it's actually worth casting. So I think where we're going to see ShoWTimE, he's got, well, he's going to have 2-1 very quickly for his area units. He's getting the rest of his upgrades down as well. And I think he's going to have this really nice timing when the Mothership's out and he's maxed out and he has the rest of these upgrades. But for now, I guess the other question is, do you send the Mothership around? Do you look for an aggressive recall somewhere?
That's something that I like using it for. Is I'm really a big fan of players who use it, not necessarily for the aggressive recall, although that's a good option. I really love using it as a secondary recall, whether that's A, you recall into the main and then you recall out with the other recall, or B, you just use it as a kind of mobile low supply but high potential supply defensive tool like this. If he decides to recall here, he can, or he can activate the cloaking field. Unfortunately, there is an overseer overhead. So we're still going to see some static defenses getting taken down. A lot of probes going down, but 10 is very replenishable if he decides to. He might do what he did in a previous game, though, and stay on a very high supply.
Yeah, really not all that. I mean, you are spending energy. You are spending a cooldown, right, that you don't have for the next little bit of time, but
it's not that long of a cooldown, though. It's only 60 seconds, I believe, on recall now on the Mothership. It's still a cooldown, and it's still something that you got to be careful and play around, but it was buffed in terms of its time.
Well, I was more talking about the cloaking field, but anyways, there we go. Yeah. Nice knurls go down on all of the Archons. And yeah, this is, all of a sudden, this feels impossible to fight. ShoWTimE, he's going to lose everything. This base will go down. Question is, can he get something out of this? Can he rotate around? The Immortals are still fighting, but Infestors have plenty of toys to play with. They're making them go brrr as they hit each other. It's fine. It's fun. Now the Immortals are going to show up. And the question is, actually, as we take a look at this, did Reynor go a little too far? All the Ultras are dead. A lot of Lings went down. Honestly, that was like 3 dead Immortals? 5 dead Immortals. Okay, it's a little worse.
That was amazing for Reynor. He killed so much with that and threw away Ultras against an opponent that has, even after a bunch of Immortals went down, still 6 Immortals. Like that was amazing for Reynor. That was fantastic.
They're up by that one is now. I mean, these Immortals are still really good at punching through static defense. You got to be careful. These Lings, they're going to find some Archons.
They're for Storm at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's covered. He can't go in on that.
No. Not with the Archons there. Not with all these cannons on the bottom side as well. Really nowhere to go.
Oh.
Seems like some nice feedbacks. Yeah.
Man, I'm literally like trying to follow the action just so that I don't miss something, and there's still stuff, you know, slipping through. Like these players are playing at an incredibly high speed and just ridiculously fast reaction time. ShoWTimE does rate very highly on the reaction time.
Very highly steadfast. He is the best, at least according to the test we had all the players do at Atlanta. He has the best reaction time of any pro player that is currently competing in this event, at least that it competed at Atlanta, which is pretty cool. But now you gotta be so careful of the Neurals. Feedback on some of them. Slow zone as well. And the Neurals are not doing anything. The Fungal's nice, absolutely. But that's a ton of dead infestors right now. ShoWTimE holds the position. It's another dead base, steadfast. It's another position here. And these Ultras on the backside do not want to be there. They're gonna have to run away. 7 drones go down, the base is dead, but importantly, more than anything else, that's 8 dead infestors. That is so much gas.
And there's the -300 finally coming in there. Nice abduct from Reynor, able to get the kill on that. But yeah, that was an extremely good little segment. Oh, and look at that. The Lings are actually going to keep the Ultras away with the stasis ward. I think it would have been maybe a little bit foolhardy to go super deep there. Actually, speaking of which, these Broodlords, there are a fair number of them, but they feel rather naked right now. If Tempest can get on top of them, where are the Corruptors? Okay, Corruptors are kind of rotating to block a reposition from ShoWTimE. It will be a recall coming on in. It's going to be a big flank on the side. Viper does get the abduct. No target fire on that one Tempest. Big Storm. This is a very messy fight. Big leap forward into the Ultra. Storms on everything. This game is wild, and this could be a game-deciding fight.
I mean, I don't even know what's happening. Stalkers are going to get on top of the last of the Broodlords here. Ultras clean up everything on the right side, but the left side is where the Immortals are. So the Ultras, they stay alive. The supply of ShoWTimE does get knocked down, but Stalkers, again, they can blink on after this. They can chase this army down. The problem is, as we look at this, that was a wild fight.
Yeah.
Reynor still got a pretty decent bag. ShoWTimE, he's dropping down a little bit more. Okay, so at the end of the day, that was a massively cost-effective fight for ShoWTimE. 16,000 resources killed to 8. So that's one way to look at it, right? That spends a lot of Reynor's bank.
Yes. It certainly does, and now the Tempests are still alive. There's still 3 of them on the map. Nice little Ling run by will grab an Immortal, but ShoWTimE is able to buy time to get back in position. Okay, we do see more Corruptors being added on. I think that's important. There is going to be a Ling run by on the bottom side that should knock out this base. Yeah, with this is just going to be forfeit, actually. And ShoWTimE will go for a bit of a push. There's no base to punish on the left side for the counter kill. Reynor has bases on the top right. The Tempests. Ooh, nice abduct right there. But there's no follow-through, actually. Fungal Growth's going to land on a couple of the Immortals. And a lot of these units will get kind of pinched. However, ShoWTimE is able to battle through the Broodlings. They really don't last as long as they used to, and he kind of just manages to disengage without anything too bad happening. I was thinking it could have been a game-deciding fight, but it went even enough that both players still have a bank, they still have a decent economy, and they still have a huge amount of units. Meanwhile, on the right side, big skirmish. Reynor able to keep that one Ultralisk alive with sub 20 HP. Man, this game is nuts.
Okay. Reynor's bank is heavily depleted. It's not gone. He's got 1.6. He's got massive gas reserves. So that's really important. Eventually, you can start to really spend that on infestors. You can really spend that on Vipers. You can use this lately to get some very high gas units. ShoWTimE his bank is not incredible. He is mining a little bit more gas at the moment, but he needs to find a way to maybe take the bottom left side base to start to saturate a little bit more. Probes are going to get pulled away preemptively because, well, why not? And also, there's not a lot to saturate. The one problem, he's 1 out of 3 on that gas geyser. You would like to see him go and just suck as much money as possible. And I know you might say, Bayo, look, there are like 7 bases that ShoWTimE has. Why in the world do we care about 1 out of 3 on the gas geyser? Well, he doesn't have a lot of gas. And eventually it feels like this base is going to get cracked. Certainly not. Certainly maybe. But the big deal is you want the base to kind of mine out at roughly the same time so you can care about it less. And that just is going to slow you down just a little bit. I think all those Immortals had their hard shield popped, which is not what you're looking for necessarily. But as this game goes later, Steadfast, ShoWTimE's going to have to make some decisions about where he tries to take his bases and where he tries to get aggressive onto the Zerg bases. Because he can't do both.
It's certainly not going to be easy. And Reynor, oh man, once again slipping into the main base with a ton of cracklings. He's going to get in on top of the third base, find a shield battery and a few more probes as well. Reynor, meanwhile, will find an opening on this base. Baneling's blowing up a lot of static defense, and the Broodlord's going to be able to deal with even more of it. A lot of chaos being generated. Kills the Templar Archives, but look at that. ShoWTimE instantly replenishes. Meanwhile, fight on the other side of the map. The Broodlord's trying to get jumped here, but good fungal growths hold the army of ShoWTimE at bay. Meanwhile, Storm's going to try and zone out the Corruptors.
Those are good feedbacks there, as well as the Storms continue to get damage done. These Broodlords feel dead at this point. ShoWTimE doesn't know where the anti-air is, so he's gonna have to be careful about it. But yeah, Broodlords continue to take damage. Right side base is somehow not dead just yet. In fact, it's not dying. The Ultras are still getting bounced around. I guess one Stalker's got the pineapple, but the rest are gonna have to run away. ShoWTimE apparently very good at Reynor Party Revival. Even still, as we look at this, somehow I was convinced ShoWTimE was losing that north side base. Instead, we're going to see Broodlords go down here. Stalkers place forward. That's a massive fungal. Those Storms as well are going to try to do what they can. These links are falling down. All of a sudden, ShoWTimE has built a massive supply lead for himself, and the army in the middle is uncontested. The Tempests are there. The Archons are there. The Immortals are there. Reynor just lost both fights.
We saw Reynor committing into a bunch more Broodlords. Oh, a couple Infestors going to go down. That is very expensive. He commits to a bunch more Broodlords, which means that this split push setup from ShoWTimE becomes even stronger. Another base. It does survive for the moment, but this base on the right side will go down, and potentially two bases of Reynor. While in the main base, we're going to see the Hive getting denied. Ultralisk, Corruptor, both of them die as soon as they get out. And if ShoWTimE just recalls pretty much... Actually, hang on. Did he even need to?
There are 17 Corruptors that just finished up. Yeah, he really needs to. I mean, even if he loses this army, it's pretty bad. But
it's not so bad for him, though. He killed so much tech, and he just killed two bases, and he's going to get a third. Honestly, even just keeping Reynor's army away from defending this is actually almost worth losing that whole force. Reynor's like not mining. He's got 42 drones on 4 mineral patches. Oh, and oh my God, the worst luck Ultralisk of all time. I think ShoWTimE's doing it here.
Yeah, no, he won fights everywhere. He got the parting shot of that last Tempest in the main base. Also got another Broodlord at the end. And Reynor, not only is he in this situation where he's just lost almost all of his mining, he's relying on the Broodlords. He's overbuilt Corruptors in the extreme to try to make something happen, but
there's only 3.
He doesn't have the gas to turn these into Broodlords eventually. These Corruptors, they were panic Corruptors, Steadfast. He was really worried about the Tempest. He's like, spam that Corruptor button. And now there's nothing you can go send them across the map and try to go and kill bases like that. These Corruptors are just about useless. There is really not much for them to do whatsoever. Is ShoWTimE and that's a good fungal, absolutely, but there's nothing to chain it. The Stalkers are staying away. There's nothing really there. Immortals are not dying at all, and now Stalkers get on top of the last of the Broodlords. One is morphing in, but who the hell cares about one? ShoWTimE certainly does not. And ShoWTimE says, yeah, you know what? This is the group of death guys. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
If you told...